You know that President Xi of China is coming tomorrow here, and we're going to be, I hope, making a deal. I think we're going to have a deal. I think it'll be a good deal for both. And that's really a great result. You know, that's better than fighting and going through all sorts of problems and, you know, no reason for it. I think it's going to be a great deal for both. So I'll be meeting him tomorrow. A lot of people are interested.
That's President Trump in South Korea this morning on his upcoming meeting with Xi Jinping. The two leaders will meet tomorrow in Busan, South Korea, their first in-person meeting since 2019. The Wall Street Journal this morning is reporting that the two are expected to discuss lowering China tariffs in exchange for a fentanyl crackdown. It comes as the president signed peace deals and trade deals with the leaders of Cambodia, Thailand, and Malaysia, all in an effort to boost economic ties in exchange for lower tariffs. The president also announced a trade deal with South Korea this morning. Joining me now is Missouri Congressman Jason Smith. He is the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. Mr. Chairman, great to see you.
It's great to be with you, Maria.
Thank you so much for being here. And of course, you're in New York and not in Washington. I want to get to the government shutdown in a moment. But first, talk to us about what this means in Asia and all of these deals that the president is doing. What does that mean for your work on House Ways and Means?
So the president has now come to the agreement of over 10 different agreements throughout the world, whether it's the European Union, the United Kingdom, just in the last couple days, Malaysia and Cambodia, South Korea. It's major. If you just look at these countries completely eliminating their tariffs on U.S. agriculture products, but also U.S. manufactured goods, that helps put us on a level playing field of where we've been in years past. You look at the prior administrations, they've done nothing. In fact, the president in 9 months has done more than what the entire Biden administration did when it came to trade policy. And when you think about 96% of the world's consumers are outside the United States, it's important to deliver on these good trade agreements. I have met with more than 25 different world leaders just in the last couple months and trying to work with the administration to help open up more markets. More are coming.
Well, I mean, it's really incredible to me. It's Donald Trump's brilliance to go and align with all other friends in Asia ahead of his meeting with Xi Jinping. You know, doing a rare earth deal with Australia, coming up and cozying up to the Prime Minister of Japan, doing all those deals that you just mentioned, all in advance of this meeting with you know, Xi Jinping tomorrow, so that the U.S. is in its strongest point so far as he meets with China. What do you want to see out of a China deal?
Well, first off, the president's so strategic. We've not had a leader of the United States in a long time that's this strategic. Just the visual this morning of the dinner that he was having with the world leaders, the South Korean president, New Zealand, Australia, Singapore. And so that definitely helps lead the momentum of his meeting with the Chinese. I think it's super important that we get to an agreement. You look at what the president just initiated, a 301 investigation on China for not fulfilling the phase 1 trade agreement that he did in his first administration.
That's right.
The Biden administration did zero to enforce that, but hopefully this will require enforcement. Think about just soybeans alone. The Chinese purchase somewhere between $12 to $15 billion worth of soybeans a year, except for this year. They have not purchased $1.
Wow.
And that has a huge impact on world markets, and they have done that to us.
Well, I mean, it leads me to the issue of all these supply chains in China. I mean, frankly, Congressman, I would like to know what Congress has been doing over the last 10 years about all these supply chains. I recognize your colleagues on the left have been attacking President Trump. Russia, 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 making up this Russia collusion story from day one. They should have been focused on China, because now we're in a position where President Trump has to bully all these corporates to come and get their supply chains here and threaten tariffs because we have 90% of our prescription drugs made in China and India. That's wrong.
It is completely wrong, Maria. The truth of the matter is politicians has been out to lunch when it comes to looking at our supply chains.
That's ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous. When it comes to food, when it comes to energy, and pharmaceuticals, these are things that we should not be relying on countries that love to burn our flag. We need to be able to produce those products here in the United States, and whether it's rare earths or magnets, it's quite essential. We have to make sure that these industries thrive in the United States.
Well, also ridiculous is the fact that the government has been shut down for a month. We are stretching now into day 29. The Senate failed to approve a funding bill for the 13th time yesterday. As Vice President J.D. Vance tried to help, he says the administration has found a way to keep military members paid this week. Hey, do you know how we're paying the military?
You know, it looks like that the president's been able to shift some funds, but also some individuals have donated money to help pay the military. But this is absolutely unacceptable. This is the first time in the history of government that one party has shut down government by not voting for just a continuation of funding. What we are asking Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats to vote for is exactly what Chuck Schumer voted for in March of this year.
Right.
And he voted for 13 times whenever Biden was in the White House. However, the one time when he has voted against a continuing resolution up until this point was during the last shutdown in the Trump presidency. It's not about delivering their priorities. You see them, which is really scary, agreeing that Americans are facing harm through this shutdown, but also you have the number 2 in the House, Catherine Clark, saying that this is leverage. So hurting families is leverage for their liberal approach, and that is to provide health care for illegals, to increase $1.5 trillion worth of spending. These are all things that they demanded.
Well, I mean, isn't this your job to keep the train on the tracks, you and your colleagues? So what are you going to do? Are you going to have to give in on these Obamacare subsidies to get this government open? Has there been conversation about you giving in on something?
Absolutely not. We need to negotiate after government is open, but open up government. That's essential. It is crazy that 60 votes in the United States Senate is what is preventing just a vote. We've not had, they've attempted 13 different votes in the United States Senate, but they've not had an actual vote on the funding mechanism because of the filibuster. I think that if this continues too long, that the Senate should have a real conversation about, in the time of a government shutdown, to look at making sure that you can pass a continuation of funding with just 51 votes.
So you want to go to that nuclear option then?
I don't consider that a nuclear option. I consider shutting down government for 29 days senseless as a nuclear option. They have showed that they are not cooperating or behaving appropriately, and it's hurting the American people. I'm saying, just in this example, in a government shutdown, a clean continuation of funding, that should continue, because then that would incentivize politicians to actually come together, to work together, and to fund government.
I think you might be right, Congressman, because you got to do something. Something's got to give here. And obviously, you had this clean continuing resolution that would have funded government until November 21st. That's obviously off the table. You're not going to do a continuing resolution for a couple of weeks. What are the plans? Do you want to do something, a CR, into the first quarter? I read that you wanted to do it past the midterm elections next year. I don't know if that would fly. But what's your thinking now in terms of the next CR approach?
Well, I'll say that the House appropriators did a good job. They passed every one of the 12 appropriation bills out of committee. We've passed about 70–80% of the appropriation bills off the House floor, which is a big step. We need to appropriate. I would hate to see a continuation of Biden's spending levels. That's not where we want to be. However, we need certainty. We do not need another government shutdown the month before the election. Let me tell you, if they're willing to shut it down now, next year, you betcha they're going to shut it down again. So we need to be mindful at whatever funding mechanism that we decide, whether it's a continuing resolution or whether it's appropriations bills, make it till December of next year.
December of 2026, after the midterm elections. You think that'll fly?
That is what I'm advocating for, and I think that creates stability and certainty for America.
Let me ask you this, because Sean Duffy was with me on Sunday, Transportation Secretary, and he told me air traffic control people are calling in sick, TSA agents are calling in sick. They do not want to work without a paycheck coming. I understand they are upset right now. I mean, Isn't that a choke point, that this actually could be a government shutdown turning into an economic shutdown? When does this seriously hit the economy?
Maria, this is what the Democrats want. They don't want us in session, and they also want the economy to tank. Because guess what? With passing the big, beautiful bill in July, providing that tax certainty for businesses, they're investing. It's going gangbusters. If you just look at the GDP last quarter, it was over 4%. That's huge, which was projected to be at 1.8% prior to Trump being in office. They don't like what they're seeing when it comes to the economy, and it's unfortunate. They'll do whatever it takes. And apparently shutting down government and causing an economic downfall is apparently their approach.
So you're saying that half of the Congress, the Democrats, are hoping for an economic collapse?
Their actions show that they are wanting an economic collapse, because this government shutdown is senseless. There's no reason for it other than the fact that they are advocating for health care for illegals. They're advocating for increasing their temporary subsidies from COVID to insurance companies. That does not sound delivering for the American people.
Any chance you think this government opens next week when President Trump gets back?
I don't believe so. I don't see it.
Thanksgiving?
It better open way before then. I think what you're going to see November 1st, when those Senate staffers don't receive a paycheck, they might be putting some added pressure on their bosses over there to actually do their job.
All right. We will be watching all of this. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
We'll be watching you. We're Congressman Jason Smith. Stay with us. We'll be right back.